earn more money but too busy to start a side hustle? Do it the right way and teach your money to make more money for yourself, even when you're asleep. Dale Corpus will show you just how here on the School of Cash Flow. With his entrepreneurial mindset and extensive experience in real estate and finance, Dale will help you become a responsible, strategic, and passionate passive real estate investor. Learn how you can increase your earnings or find more ways to make money, only here on the School of Cash Flow.
Good afternoon and welcome to the School of Cash Flow podcast. I'm the host, Dale Corpus. So my guest today is one of my other colleagues from my GoBundance Mastermind. I brought on a few guests on podcast past episodes, but however, this guest is special since he's part of my GoBundance weekly small group, which we call a GoPod. So we're a small group within GoBundance of about 4 to 5 folks. Our group happens to be 5 folks, and we meet weekly to hold each other accountable to our goals and really push each other to level up in all areas of our lives. And that being said, I meet virtually with my guests weekly in our GoPod meeting as we do everything over Zoom. And I've been part of this GoPod with my guest, Trent, for the last couple of months now. I mean, I used to be in a prior GoPod, but it dissolved. But I'm starting learning to know more about Trent and his story, and he wanted to bring him on as a guest to share some of it. So here's a little bit more about Trent as well. Trent Parks is a resident of Billings, Montana, where he's the owner of a construction company called Billings Best Builders, specializing in ground-up new developments and build-to-rent communities. Currently completing a 26-unit build-to-rent, and they're working on their next community. And when he's not working on projects, he enjoys the Montana outdoors with his wife and his daughter. So let's roll into this. Trent, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great today, Dale. Thanks for having me on your show.
Well, I appreciate that. Let's just start with GoBundance. I mean, we met each other through our GoPod and whatnot. Remind me, it's like, how long have you been in GoBundance, and what has it done for you so far?
Yeah, I've been a member at GoBundance for 3 years now. And I would say before GoBundance, I just very much felt like I was alone on this island in this journey. And it really introduced me to all kinds of people that, are on similar paths and like-minded. I remember reading the book, The Millionaire Next Door, and I think a lot of the preconceptions people have about wealth are just dead wrong. And GoBundance was a perfect example of that. Some of the most generous people you will ever meet. And just super forthcoming, and not only their business experience, but with their families and their personal lives. So it's been a really great thing that I've been happy to be a part of for 3 years now. So.
Okay, got it. And so, I'm curious just with your background. I know that you weren't born as a real estate investor. So I wanted to know, like, when and how did your real estate investing journey start?
Yeah, I was in my sophomore year of college. And I think, like a lot of people out there, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it just made me realize that I wanted something different for my life than working the next 50 years at a W-2 and then hoping I had enough in my 401k to retire. I just realized that was not what I wanted in my life. At that time, I had no clue what I was going to do. I just knew that kind of paved the ground for knowing that I had to do something different. So then I kept doing more and more research on how people accumulate their wealth. And it seemed like the overwhelming response I kept reading was through real estate. And so it was kind of at that point in time, I decided I wanted to start investing in real estate. It was still super early, and I still didn't quite know what that was going to look like. But when I got out of college, I bought a 4-plex, lived in 1 unit, and rented out the other 3 units. And, it was just life-changing. It was super just amazing. Somebody writes you checks. All of a sudden you're breaking even on your mortgage. You're living somewhere for almost free, and you're continuing to build wealth. And so I did that for a number of years. Well, just, I tried doing a number of things at that time. Wholesaling and fix and flip was all the rage. I did a couple projects like that and found out that wasn't necessarily the direction I wanted to head. And so at that point, I started looking more into new construction and development. And fast forward to where we're at today, it's just kind of continued to grow organically from that point.
Okay, I wanted to unpack a few things here. So you first started off with, buying an owner-occupied fourplex, right? So remind me, what year was that in, out of curiosity?
So that was back in 2010.
Okay, right in the middle of the crash.
Yeah, and the response I kept getting was, "Are you crazy? Do you know what's happening in real estate right now?" And I said, "I know," but I said, "Look at, what these people are paying in rent." And I said, "I'm going to get to live somewhere almost rent free," and people still needed a place to live. So I kind of just stuck to my guns and jumped into it. But yeah, it was during, the housing market crash that the whole US was going through at the time.
Got it. So it looks like you house hacked a fourplex. Did you come in with minimal down out of curiosity when you bought that property back then?
I did. It was a 3.5% down at the time. And oddly enough, I believe it was an Obama program that was going on for first time home buyers. So I think I actually got $7,000 from the government to help out with the financing on that deal.
Okay, I got it. So when you bought, that was pretty much, you lived there and it happened to be your investment property at the same time, since you had 3 other units that were renting out. I mean, what was that? That was your very first experience being a landlord. What did you think of that experience? Do you learn anything? Was that pretty easy going through that initial experience?
I think it was like a lot of things in life, to where, nothing's easy at first, but once you learn how to do it, it becomes easier. I immediately joined the Montana Landlords Association as soon as I bought that property. So it was, I can't remember at the time, like $75 a year. I mean, almost a no-brainer. They held monthly meetings that you could attend and learn. And then they also offered all their documents and forms, which I used for leases for a lot of years. And that was kind of how I cut my teeth. I did my own property management. And, as people would move out of the units, I would spend a lot of nights and weekends remodeling kitchens and things like that, and just learned how the business side of it worked.
Got it. It's like have you always had this entrepreneurial hustle? Because I believe during this time you're also maintaining a W-2 job. Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was. I worked a W-2 job for about a decade, all the way up until last year, actually.
Okay.
And I was working a lot of extra hours in the real estate business, and also working full time at this W-2. So yeah, I would say that spirit had always been there, but I also knew for me that I relied on some of that income to keep investing in real estate. And I think that's the story for most people. There's definitely those unique stories out there where they figure out seller financing right out of the gate, they land a huge deal, and then things just explode from there. Mine was more of the tortoise story, where it just slowly started accumulating assets and just started growing year over year.
Yeah. What was your W-2 job in? Was it connected to what you studied in college? Mm.
It was, yeah. And also what I had been studying in high school. So I was a network engineer for a number of years at a couple different places. And, I still am very grateful for, the education on the technology side of things, because it has partnered very well with real estate and what I do today. So even though I'm not doing the networking side of it anymore, I've been building my own computers since I was in elementary school, and love the technology side of it still today.
Yeah, I'm curious. A lot of people that are my listeners are based in the Bay Area, so in the middle of Silicon Valley. Pretty much a lot of my listeners are in tech. What kind of experience in the tech industry and or skill sets that you've learned that made you successful in tech have translated even over to what you're doing right now?
So I would say for me, one thing I did not plan on having an edge with in the home building industry is just the research side of it. Being able to use not only like our county database and things like that to potentially research properties, overlay just distances on maps, but I would say the research side of it has really been surprising. And then also being able to draw my own floor plans. That's a thing that I think most builders, old school do on paper, to where, I do it digitally and I can take things and edit them to convey, the vision we have for a community to some of our engineering staff, and just be able to help create that vision a little more vividly than you might be able to if you were just telling somebody.
Okay. I find it really interesting, by the way, Trent, that basically you are I'll use land developer. I don't know anybody personally in my spheres that does that. So I think it's pretty unique. Like when you got into your first land development deal, how did that go about? Were you already financed really well? Did you bankroll like a lot of, past profits, or, did you have to have a lot of money to get into it?
No, we absolutely did not. At that time, I did that first deal with a partner, and we bought 5 acres of land for $75,000. And looking back, it was just one of those deals that I don't know if I'd say once in a lifetime, but it was a very unique deal to buy land that cheap. And then, just from my engineering background, I'm very heavy on due diligence. So land development fits well with my skill set, and just asking a lot of the right questions. I've always been pleasantly surprised how engineering firms and even our local city participate in providing answers to questions. And they're genuinely interested in helping people. At least that's been my experience. And so I think if you ask the right questions, you'll kind of find those answers. But yeah, that first deal we bought, we bank loaned the development and the land, and me and my partner at the time each brought $60,000 in cash that we had saved up. And that was really, at that time, all I had to my name. So, things have changed quite a bit since then. But yeah, that first deal getting going, that's less than some people would put down on a house, depending on what market you're in.
Yeah. What did you build? What did you build on that first piece of land?
So we developed 16 duplex townhome lots. There was one multifamily lot that was zoned for a fourplex, and then one single family home lot. So there was a total of 16 lots in that first development.
Were they all designed to be, sold, or did you keep any yourself?
Yeah, so I still own 6 units in that development today. We did sell the rest to homeowners. We individually townhomed them, so you can just sell half of a duplex to someone. The street has turned out beautiful. Most of our residents there were of retirement age, because we had decided that we were going to build homes with no steps. So we had a lot of retirees purchase those homes, and, retirees have a lot of free time, and they've taken great care of their homes, and the neighborhood to this day still looks awesome.
That's good. When did you realize that you had a knack for doing that stuff? Was it just after this first, did you think that this was your thing after doing that first development? It felt like it was a success. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It went well. And it was one of those things to where I think, as you continue to slowly build your skill set, you don't really realize how specialized that skill set has become until a little bit further down the road. So, for me, there was never really this light bulb moment of like, yeah, this is going great. For me, I think my story is more one of persistence and perseverance, to where, just consistent action every single day, keeping after that same goal and just chipping away at, the tasks in front of us to keep moving forward. And, yeah, day by day, this thing has grown substantially. And yeah, there was never really a day where I necessarily hit this peak. It was just, I feel like it's all just been kind of part of this journey and keep heading down the same path.
Got it. I mean, it's like like for your own portfolio as you're building it, are you, for everything that you build, are you kind of keeping, some of that, are you keeping some of the properties that you're building on every project, or like, how are you building your portfolio? What's your investment strategy now?
So that's how it started out initially, was, we were selling what we were building to create capital. And then as I started getting more capital, I decided I didn't want to, I'd been in the rental game long enough to where I wanted to keep some long-term. So that's why out of this first subdivision, I only kept 6 out of 28. And then, I did that strategy for a little while. And then the latest project that we are getting close to wrapping up, I had a substantial tax event because we were selling so many homes and we were making great money. But it was the first time I had done cost segregation. And after just paying massive taxes the year before, I paid no taxes last year and made, the same amount of income. So that was a huge light bulb moment for me. So going forward, I kind of see the scale. We'll try to do a build to rent community every year, in addition to the homes that we build to sell. And the build to rent cost segregations will offset the income for the homes that we sell. And I remember listening to a fellow GoBro talk about how our highest expenses are always taxes. And, if you can take a couple $100,000 that you would have paid in taxes and put that towards your next project, I think we've all seen the hockey stick graphs of how things grow. And if you're not paying that 30 to 40% to Uncle Sam every single year, and you can invest that money, I mean, that's a huge change in that curve. And it's going to allow you to get to your goals much faster.
Got it. No, it's like, deal finding. You mainly invest kind of in your backyard, just to where you could drive to, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What are the best ways for the way for what you're doing? How are you finding your deals on an ongoing basis? Mainly relationships? Do you have other systems set up?
It's kind of been a combination of all the above. This first deal that I was just telling you about, we bought a chunk of that land through a local builder developer. He had a much larger chunk and he was selling off small pieces of it. And then there was a dentist out of state who owned one of the pieces. And so I simultaneously closed both of those. But one was actually, I looked up his dental practice and I just asked to talk to the guy. And I just told him I was interested in buying, a piece of land that, was just sitting there doing nothing out of state for him. And so, we bought those couple parcels together. I've bought stuff before that has been on the MLS. I've even scoured for things that are expired. Local relationships, of course, are always great sources of off-market deals, but I would say a little bit of everything.
Okay, got it. And like, what, along your journey as you were developing as a real estate investor, any conferences, books, podcasts or whatnot that, really resonate with you that kind of help launch your growth?
I would say all the above. I think, the journey in life that we're all on, you're constantly learning. And at least if you want to become the master of any of it, you almost have to. I've been listening to Bigger Pockets since 2008. And, once you start tuning into those communities, you start hearing about other things. It was through that how I heard about GoBundance. I've got a bookshelf full of all kinds of books that are finance, business, just business building, things like that. And I still listen to podcasts all the time. Right now, I listen to Ken McElroy's podcast quite a bit. Some of our fellow GoBros podcasts, the Tribe of Millionaires podcast. There's just so much content out there. There's I guess, no excuse for not learning what you're interested in. And most of it's free. Podcasts don't cost any money. Book, they're $20, but I would always say that is the cheapest form of education you will ever receive, is just buying a book. So.
No, absolutely. How has your opinion on investing, or just the way you look at deals, how has that, changed even recently with, the looming, recession, or just with the economic uncertainty out there? Has that changed your outlook on anything or the way you look at deals?
I would say for me, it's always been an underwriting game. I've always been a heavy spreadsheet guy. And I think as long as you're investing for cash flow, when I underwrite most of my deals, I don't plan on any increase in rents. And I know in the last 2 years, you could call that foolish, but for me, the increase in rents was just icing on top of the cake. It was extra income that I hadn't planned on. And most of the time I tried to plan on worst case scenario. That's how I've always invested.
Okay.
And just evaluate risk that way. Can I live with, let's say right now we've got 15 spec homes in the ground and I have to pivot from selling them to renting them. Do I have enough cash reserves to sustain the next 12 to 24 months, or can I rent those to break even for the next 12 to 24 months? So yeah, I would say I'm constantly evaluating risk. And as someone's portfolio grows and changes, your thresholds for risk are also going to change. But yeah, I would say right now I might be underwriting a little more conservatively than I have in the past, but I think that is, at least from my own level of risk tolerance, I like to be able to sleep at night. So that's what makes me comfortable right now.
I wanted to go back to your W-2 job, and as you said, it was just about a year or so ago that you left it. Congrats to that. That must have been you knew that was an option as you were building your real estate investments and whatnot. What did that feel like when you left your W-2 job? You hit that goal. Did it feel like what you thought it was going to feel like?
Not really. And it's funny because I feel like, let's just imagine, hitting $1 million in net worth. I think we all have this plateau built up in our minds to where you hit that and all of a sudden the party lights are going to go off and you feel like, you've made it. And for me, it was just another day at the office, to where it was really cool. Don't get me wrong, but nothing in your outside of that changed. Your friends, don't change a lot. Your family doesn't change a lot. Nobody's really going to change other than your own internal feelings. For me, I think anytime anybody does something where they're doing it 48 hours a week and you change course, it's going to feel drastically different. And I just remember life feeling drastically different at that point, to where it's now I'm not going to spend my work day focusing on this. Now I'm going to spend it doing something completely different.
Yeah. It gives you, when you're not, tied down by a W-2 job, you have more freedom now. You have choices now. You could choose what you want to do with your time. For me, I always never feel like it's about the goal. It's just about the person you come along the way. It's the journey. Because once you hit that goal, it's never what you think it's going to feel like. Similar to what you're kind of saying, it's just you need another goal now to work towards, because you're just always evolving and growing as a person. And it's just, if you were to look at yourself, I don't know. It's you look at yourself 10 years ago, you're a completely different person. Probably even thinking about who, looking at yourself now, it's how did I get there?
Yeah. And it's about those new challenges, like you're saying, in that path of growth. And, what can you do to feel like you're accomplishing things in life? And I just feel like your why solidifies and becomes stronger when you have more time in your day. And now the journey isn't just about me, it's about the people that we hire and their families. And it's just become a much bigger picture, I guess.
So let's uncover, I want to talk about that a little bit, because now you don't have your W-2 job. It almost sounds like your mental shift has changed. You're coming from a place of more of a contribution. Like how, like, can you, again, what your why now, how has that evolved, just again, even recently since you were W-2 to now?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, I would say my why now has changed substantially. Back when I was at my W-2, it was very individual. It was trying to make my mortgage and take care of my family. And now it's to the point to where I feel a personal responsibility for other people, paying their mortgages and feeding their family because they rely on our business for income. And so, yeah, I think it's really been a good thing. And, I had sat down and written a vivid vision and just what we wanted it to look like and feel like in the future. And a big part of it is about impacting the lives of the people that we do hire and seeing them reach their financial goals and just finding out where they want to be so that, they're not heading down the path to where I knew I didn't want to be, which was 65 years old, just hitting retirement and holding on to my 401k and hoping that things pan out. And, that is something that I think is leading me towards syndication. Is I feel like one of the biggest ways we can give back to people financially is by allowing them to invest in our deals, and especially our staff and employees, and have opportunities that they might not otherwise have. Because I don't know too many builders in my area that, allow people to invest capital in their deals. And that was something I wanted to offer here in the near future.
Okay. As you potentially transition into the syndication space, have you been able to still have other people invest in your deals, even through a non-syndication way? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's people that I've had long-standing relationships with for years that have been investing in our deals, and we'll continue to grow those relationships. But yeah, this was also going to be something that was on a little bit of a larger scale, and we realized to bring in more than, say, one other person on a deal, if we want to bring in 10 or 20, then we would have to start doing things a little bit differently.
Yeah. I always say, I'm transitioning a little bit, but I always say that real estate's a team sport. And so it's like, I know you're not doing this alone. With all the real estate investing and building that you do, I'm curious, like, what's your team setup like? Who helps you?
So right now, we just transitioned this last year from it being just me. We've now hired a project manager who's helping run our job sites. And we just hired somebody this summer to also help that project manager. So I think as we continue to grow, we will probably integrate vertically by bringing property management in-house. I think that's one of the next positions we're looking at, and potentially purchasing an office space and just kind of slowly adding to our team as it makes sense. There's certain people that I would very much consider part of our team. I still have my realtor's license, but we couldn't do what we're doing without Polly, our realtor. She's been fantastic to us. I consider her our marketing arm of our team. And Corey, my accountant. I have a very proactive accounting relationship with him. We talk a few times a month, and while he's not directly on my payroll and never will be, we just have that relationship to where he's compensated well for his time, but we also aren't doing the old school, we meet once a year and our tax bill is what it is. And so there's some things that we do differently. And so, yeah, I see our team as being, kind of a collection of people that is much beyond even just our direct hires.
I'm sure, and all of the deals you've done, all the projects you've put together, I'm sure there's been a lot of things that didn't go the right way. And those are the things that help you learn as you go, have that experience. Are there any lessons learned, any horror stories that, you're never going to do that again, that come to mind from everything that you've done?
I could, tell a handful of them, and they're all going to be very construction related because that's the business I'm in. But, I mean, just a perfect example was one of our very first homes, which is actually my personal home. It was being built during the winter, and it had been snowing and raining, and the crawl space had gotten so filled with moisture that I didn't realize that it was starting to mold in there. And so after the building was framed and our plumber and our HVAC guy got done doing their work, they said, by the way, the crawl space is filled with mold. And I said, what? And I had a family member who owned a disaster restoration company. And, I didn't have the funds. It wasn't in the budget to fix that kind of damage. And so they actually guided me on, here's what you need to use. I already owned a paint sprayer, and here's how to fix the problem. But yeah, I think Breaking Bad, you're in a complete white suit, mask, gloves, the whole thing. And it was just a miserable experience working in that crawl space, spraying the whole thing that was full of mold. But yeah, I could think of many stories and lessons along the way, along those same lines, to where, you almost have to go through those things to become a better business and company. And you just don't know what you don't know sometimes.
No, absolutely. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, but just be prepared for the worst. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Be a stronger person. So some final questions for you. So what are you excited about in your business right now?
I have another deal that I'm working on that is another 32 unit build to rent. That is probably one of the biggest things that I'm excited about. I've got a couple other local developers who have wanted to partner on some larger deals. And the prospects of that are very exciting. And it's just really cool to start working alongside some of those people who, years ago, you looked up to, and they're 20, 30 years older than I am, but it's really cool getting to partner with some of those people and start looking at deals with some of those people. So those are some of the more exciting things that I'm looking forward to.
Very cool. What has real estate investing done even for your life?
Well, I think for me, it's not only created purpose, but it's also created the financial side that I had been striving for so long. I knew that I wanted to spend time with my wife and my kids. My old job, I used to have to travel occasionally, and I left my W-2. My wife has left her W-2. And so, yeah, she raises our daughter full time now. And really, for me, the family aspect has been the greatest benefit. We can do what we want when we want with our time. I still work very hard and maybe even work more hours than I previously did. But when you can schedule, your family time around that and spend time with them, those are moments you just can't get back. So I think, to me, that's probably been one of the most special things that we've seen change substantially in recent history.
What's your superpower? What's your superpower that's got into you this level of success so far?
I would say, we're on a podcast where I am talking, but listening. I would say one of my superpowers is, when I go to have conversations with people looking for deals, or, subcontractors that have concerns about things going on at our job sites, I would say my ability to listen to their concerns and try to alleviate them has really gotten me to where I am. I hear constantly from our subcontractors that, you're one of the best generals that we've worked for. And, a lot of guys just, yell at their subcontractors when things aren't going right. And it's a pretty big 180 from the way that I manage. And I think as a result, we have acquired quite a few, great contractors that love working for us, and we're thankful to have them. And I constantly tell all of our guys, we're only as good as our subcontractors, because I can't be there to hold their hand every day. And it's been great having the relationship with them. And, once we find those talented people, we try to hold on to them and take care of them. And a lot of our guys have been around for a number of years with us.
No, that's awesome. If you were to start your real estate and, investing journey all over from scratch, knowing what you know right now, would you do anything differently?
The only thing I would maybe say is I would have maybe left my W-2 a little bit sooner.
Okay.
I feel like the time that I spent doing that, I can now spend focusing on the business and just seeing how much it has grown, even in the last 12 months. I think we all have that internal fear of change, and I sure did. And if I probably would have walked away sooner, I think, we would have grown even that much faster. But, and I still wouldn't change anything, but, if you had a crystal ball and had the opportunity to do it over again, maybe that would be
it's like, you're forced. You don't have that crutch of W-2 income. It forces you to grow faster, take action a lot faster. Hey, last question is, how can somebody get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Facebook. If anybody's browsing Facebook, feel free to add me or shoot me a message. You can get a hold of me via email. My email is parkst@gmail.com. And then we just launched our website, parksplacecapital.com. We are currently in the phase where we're taking some drone photos of our old projects, and that way, people can see the track record of things that we've done. But those are a couple ways you can reach out.
Well, I love it. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. Trent, thanks so much for joining me on this episode. Thanks for sharing your story. And it's just really great that I even got to know you better. I know I connect with you weekly on our GoPod meeting and whatnot, but this is another way I feel like this was another coffee meeting, actually, just to get to know you better as well. I'm looking forward to hearing more of your progress, as you do more developments. And, your story is very inspirational. Congrats on leaving that W-2 job and, finding more of your why's changed since then. And I love that you're coming from a place of contribution now, so I'm glad I know you, and I wish you all the success as you continue to scale your business and your portfolio. And to my listeners, feel free to reach out to Trent directly if you have any further questions for him. Thank you for checking out this episode of the School of Cashflow. Remember to leave me a podcast review on iTunes, as it helps me attract more great guests just like Trent. So until next time, live life abundantly.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the School of Cashflow. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into all the tips and tricks you can use to help you on your passive investing journey. In the meantime, you may visit www.cashflowschoolpodcast.com for more great episodes. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. That's all for this episode, folks. See you next time.